fight before?
Yeah.
You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Good defense?
Yeah.
Must train different in America. Your defense stinks.
You are the new student. Come closer.
You're listening to the Kung Fu Podcast presented by James Still.
I didn't think you had it in you.
I'm your huckleberry.
And Steve Newby.
What I do have are a very particular set of skills. Skills I've acquired over a very long career.
I can't open the window because the moths are flying.
It's raining right now, but it's nice. It's really hot.
Yeah.
We got like an air conditioning machine we have to switch on every so often.
Oh, right. Oh, well. I was lucky for some. I'm like bloody Von Ryan in here, like in that film. In the cooler. Right. Right, we're going. Okay. How you been, old man? You've decorated the set a bit, I see. Your trophy is in a prominent position.
It has to be.
You're proud of that. You're proud of that, hey?
I'm pleased that I was given it. Yeah. And I was the only one.
No, you've never mentioned that before, but honest to God. Right. Anyway, right. Hello, welcome to the show, everybody. Another fantastic jam-packed episode where we talk absolute
bull.
well, yeah. But actually, in all fairness, I got some good material this week. Do you want to talk about anything before we go on? Did you want to say anything?
No, I'm interested to hear what you've got to ask me. You just keep on asking me questions about.
Yeah. Well, I got to get me book. Hang on a sec. One sec.
Oh, right. Okay.
It's oh Jesus, bloody hell! It was right at the bottom of me pile because it's karate's grappling methods. That's not, But no, I'm kidding. The author, Ian Abertheny, right? So I've got his book. I've had it for ages. Very, very interesting bloke in terms of his knowledge of karate. Karate. I don't know karate, but I know crazy. Now, I found a YouTube video the other week, right?
Yeah.
That I was recommended. Now, the title of this video was Martial Artists Make the Worst Self-Defense Experts. Now, featuring Ian Abertheny, the British guy who's sort of, he's very knowledgeable. He does what they call in karate bunkai, which is what we would call breaking down the sets,
Yeah.
But bunkai. Okay, bunkai. And he's really knowledgeable at it, like really interesting, great to listen to, and he really goes in depth, and he travels the world doing seminars, etc. on his specialist sort of subjects, etc. But martial artists are the worst self-defense experts. It was a video, and it was a video from a channel called, I think it was Martial Arts Journeys. I'll link it in the description, right? But this guy, you've seen it. It's the ex-Aikido guy who goes around shaving.
Who doesn't like his Aikido.
He does. He hates his Aikido.
Yeah.
Like, he's just like the ultimate sort of, oh, God. He's so ashamed.
I've obviously been training badly, so therefore everyone must be training badly.
Right.
My martial art is not very good, or at least my club's not very good, so therefore everyone else's martial art club can't be very good. So no one can be very good at it.
It's that kind of vibe, right? Now, he's a nice guy.
I have seen him. He does look like a nice guy.
He is a nice guy.
But he should approach people before he starts talking about, martial arts is, doesn't work or whatever, or Kido doesn't work or whatever.
Well, yeah.
I don't know whether it does or not because I don't do it, but...
Listen, I don't know how many times I've walked down the aisle in Tesco's and someone's come at me like this. I'm telling you, it happens right now. No. I'll be honest with you, right? And this is the truth. I think after Kung Fu, Aikido is what I think is one of the most beautiful martial arts to watch.
I agree. I agree.
And I love it. And I get it for what it is. I take it. I absolutely love all the changes, the direction, the energies, and, the circular motion, etc. It's great to watch. Steven Seagal, Nico, yeah, wow, yeah, loved it. Yeah, but it does have its place.
It's the way it's taught or hereditary taught.
Yeah,
it's the way people teach it or try to keep it to some kind of traditional, training method, which isn't going to work in reality. But you could say that the same with a lot of martial arts if they train in that way. I mean, look at Kung Fu sets, for instance. If you do a set like that, it ain't going to work. If you then transfer it, then it starts to work. So, but what I'd like to see is little bits of it where it actually does work. There's Aikido.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it does. I've seen some old photos and old videos of stuff that really good. I mean, going back to earlier podcasts, if people want to challenge people who actually only fight, then you've got a fight on your hands.
Yeah.
So it's not about that. It is about self-defense, unless you specify sport.
Well, and this, right, is... So I took some notes when I was watching this video. And guys, I encourage you to watch this video. And like I said, links in the description. It was really interesting. So the guy, Ian Abertheny, who's been interviewed by the Aikido dude, I can't remember his name. Basically, he was talking about self-defense as being perceived by martial artists. And he kind of mentioned one of his instructors, this Ian Abertheny mentioned his instructor, a fellow called Peter Constantine, who is a very sort of old school British martial artist.
I've heard that.
Heard of him. Yeah, so he's been around since the 60s, 70s. He's points fighting, full contact. Now he goes around doing self-defense seminars. His mate Geoff Thompson is a major sort of player in the UK martial arts scene, teaching
in the self-defense scene, I would say.
Self-defense, yeah, but they've all come at it from a traditional karate background. But I'm sure you can appreciate back then traditional karate was probably not great. It was. I would suggest it's probably like, right, let's do a kata. Now we'll fight. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, it's about how they train it.
Yeah.
It's not how they then take it apart and But that could be said for loads of martial arts, as I said, including Laogar, where people just train it and then go, oh, it's a great martial art, I'll do it, and then they can't because they try to stick to it's like trying to, again, always using the ABC concept. It's like writing a line and in very good writing and then trying to quickly write it fast. It's kind of really hard for people because that's all they've been doing is just writing it totally proper with proper graphic or grammatical
calligraphy,
and then suddenly they have to write something real fast and they can't
no,
because they've never practiced it,
right? Exactly. You got plenty more chance in this podcast to start making your little whatever they're called.
Right, okay.
Analogies or whatever.
Am I jumping the gun?
Not at all.
I'm getting excited.
It's a good subject. Good subject. Anyway, so this Ian Abertheny was talking about his instructor, Peter Constantine. Now, Peter Constantine, he was saying in this video, came up with this sort of this idea called the box concept of martial arts, meaning you put sort of martial arts in a box depending on what you want. So you've got like maybe it's people do martial arts because they like the historical aspect of it, or they want the fun aspect of it, or they do martial arts so they can compete on the same level with another martial artist in a sporting context, fighting or whatever, or they want to do the self-defense, right? So he's categorizing the martial arts. Now, Ian Abertheny then sort of took it one step further. And that's what he was talking about in the video. Sort of, and he created something called a martial map. Let's go. What have we got? We need something like that. We got to do something. Anyway, right. So, I don't know what it would be. Anyway, the martial
chart.
Map. Okay, yeah, all right. I was hoping for something witty, but no. Right.
That was kind of brainy, wasn't it?
We can't have brainy on this. We can't have brainy on this show. Now, the Marshall Map. So it's sort of he's taken what Peter Constantine, his instructor, one of them anyway, has said, and he's kind of devised it. So Ian Abernethy says martial arts are either divided into fighting, okay, which is what you'd consider, what he defines as competition or a mutual sort of agreed, confrontation with another person. Yeah.
Rules.
Okay, rules. Then he would define it into self-defense, which is survival. It's anything goes, but he does kind of say that you've got to be mindful of the law and this law and the rules and de-escalation tactics. And
if you're mindful of the law,
right, bear with, old man. Okay, so the Marshall Map and the third category, so it's three sort of three circles overlapping each other, because they all kind of overlap each other was what he's saying. And the third one is martial arts. So we've got fighting, self-defense, and martial arts. And now he sort of makes he suggests that martial arts are more about the historical context, like whether you're doing an art that will train to disarm a samurai or whatnot. And yeah, okay, all right. You would say traditional styles, or how do we sort of phrase that so it's better for martial arts in the historical context.
Historically motivated, I guess.
Yeah.
Anyway, you don't get many people attacking you with the sword nowadays.
No, you don't. But then you're right. You don't.
They want to train it. Yeah. So I can see where he's coming from. I can see. I mean, for instance, if you train Aido or stuff with the sword, is it?
Yeah, idea is drawing the sword, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So you're training things like that for the artistic method. You can apply that, to certain martial arts, that kind of idea or the ideology in terms of training a martial art. But you can't put everybody in the same, in the same category, really, because some martial arts are totally different and have that. They don't have that in the first place. Mm-hmm. Their initial concept is to defend themselves. And then it's been taken out of context and put into a kind of a martial thing to make the instructor look good. He's started throwing some, it's like creating a martial art and then saying, right, I'm going to start using it in movies. Well, if you start using it in movies, you're going to lose half the martial art because it's never going to look any good.
No. So you make it
back
bigger.
To what I just said, about taking into account the law. You take into account the law. You're going to lose because, first of all, you're not even thinking about the fight. I mean, you shouldn't be thinking about the fight. You should be reacting.
Yeah.
And if you react according to the law, is the last thing you want to think about. It's survival is the first thing you want to think about.
Yeah.
But if you're thinking at all,
right. Yeah, because it should be a response. But
it's all very well an automatic response.
It's all very well saying that, but let's I kind of think that we're going to disagree on the premise of what he's saying. With all due respect.
Yeah, okay.
So let's just reiterate it. So martial arts is divided into three things: fighting, self-defense, and martial arts.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I would suggest it's not. That's overcomplicating an issue, but because it's all one in the same. But I also understand what he's trying to do, and this is what I would kind of, in my limited sort of experience, I would suggest that he's overcomplicating something that needn't be that complicated by categorizing and trying to define.
Yeah, he's trying to define his own theory from his own experience,
and that's fine because it's his opinion, his theories.
It's absolutely fine.
But I think what we would, for example, right? You just mentioned when you're thinking about legal consequences of something, then your mind is elsewhere, and let's face it, if your mind's elsewhere thinking about that, then you're more likely to, going to get hit, right?
Exactly. So let's just briefly define self-defense. Self-defense is responding to someone attacking you.
Right.
Therefore, there are no legal consequences other than the fact that you can't go over the top. You can't pull out a sword and stab him because he's trying to hit you with a matchstick. That doesn't work. However, if he had a knife, you have every right to define what you require to eliminate him. Permanently.
Eliminate him. I like that. They're going to eliminate you.
Permanently, yeah. If he's got a knife, then your life is in danger. If your life is in danger, there are no legal consequences. The legal consequences, worry about that later.
Yeah, well, that's it. And a lot of people, understand where you're coming from, but then a lot of people want to know that, well, if I hit him, I don't want to go to prison. If I do this, I don't, so
it's called preemptive strike.
Well, yeah, I mean, and we've talked about this on previous, sort of podcasts, haven't we?
Yeah.
But, there is, in today's modern world of litigation, CCTV, false accusations, bad eyewitness accounts, etc. It's a problem that exists.
Yes, but it's a problem post-fight.
Right, post-fight. And this is what I was trying to get, because, pre-fight,
don't matter.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, don't matter.
Pre-fight, it don't matter. As long as you've been trained well. I knew a guy once, a student of mine, actually, and he come back boasting about the fact he'd beat some drunk up. Some guy had obviously picked on him or whatever. He was drunk. Yeah. And he pounded him, and I'm thinking, well, why did you pound him? He was drunk. Do you know what I mean? There's a legal consequence. That's you've got to be responsible for your own actions. You've got to be responsible for your own actions, and I think most of that is in the way that you train, in the discipline you take, in your training, and in the teacher and in the teaching of the subject. You've got to make it so that he's competent, but he's not overconfident.
Yeah. It's at your attitude as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
And I think that's something that you through training will hone, but to some extent. But you like we've always said, if you're backed into a corner or you're protecting your kids, at what point will you not think about consequences and just go, animal instincts, go and get them?
Yeah,
and we've had this discussion. I've had this discussion with other people as well, in reference to Lau Gar, right? So they would say, all right, so I'm going to teach the fourth set, and we always use the example where we're doing an uppercut and then striking to the throat, right, with a leopard's paw, okay, within the confines of the set. Now, the discussion I've had with, some people has been, well, I'm not going to teach them to punch someone in the throat because, you could kill them, and that's legal consequences. But then my argument straight back is, hang on, by not teaching someone to utilize that technique
you're going to kill them.
You're going to kill them because you're taking away the weapons of the warrior.
Which basically, I mean, the thing that you talk about.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say that it is down to how people perceive martial arts. You're right. This guy has categorized them into fighting and self-defense, whereas pretty much they're similar, because the fighting aspect, the sport aspect, creates control. It creates confidence. It creates ability and skill. And you can use that skill, providing you, of course, then define that there are no rules. Yeah. But I think the biggest problem there is that people, it's down to how they see their ability and their training. You can't train self-defense, so it's about your mind method, if you like.
What exactly do you mean when you say you can't train self-defense? Can you define what you mean by self-defense?
Because in reality, you would hurt the individual pretty quickly. Right. Now, of course, people then, what you get is a dissipation of reality. So you get people going, okay, I'm going to defend myself against a punch me, and they expect the guy to go.
Yeah.
And that's it. And then, of course, then they go, ha, ha, ha. It hits him about 13 times, and you go, wait a minute.
American Kempo.
Yeah. So wait a minute, you just hit him 13 times. What was wrong with the first one?
Yeah.
Obviously, the other 12 were required.
Yeah.
As the first one wasn't good enough. And there's your punch in the throat. There's your simple punch in the throat and your little poke in the eye. Oh, well, wait a minute. I'd hurt him if I hit him in the throat.
Well,
I'd hurt him if I poked him in the eye. Yes, but you've got to define, at least you've got to create the environment to train. Now, of course, you can use dummies. Paul Bob's a great example that you can use for pokes in the eye. But you've got to create the attitude and the environment. And you know, each individual is, not everybody can do self-defense as well. A lot of people do say, oh, you know, I wouldn't want to hurt him. Oh, I don't think I could do that. Oh, what about the legal consequences? There's a lot of people out there, you know, 90% of martial artists will probably think in that way.
Yeah. Well, because it's the emphasis. And if you guys, again, I implore you to watch the whole video, listen to what the guy's saying, but he's basically saying, you know, if he's teaching self-defense, it's not just the physical he wants to teach. He wants to talk about escape tactics, de-escalation, you know, conflict resolution theories, etc. You know, and
what I've just said, it ends up me agreeing with him, because obviously most martial artists couldn't do self-defense. So for that, to that end, I can say, oh yeah, martial artists may be the worst, you know, self-defenders, but that's totally down to what you're training. And if you put them in a category of, oh, they can't defend themselves, then they never will.
Yeah.
So it is about what you teach and how you teach them. And right, you're going to get people who, are, no matter how much you teach them to defend themselves, on the night someone grabs them, they just can't respond. But that's down to their training,
right?
Not your teaching.
And we've suggested before on previous shows that no individual represents a style. A system of fighting. I think that's just kind of wrong to suggest that, because on an individual level we're all different. You know, the element of luck might not be with us on that night. You know, when some drunk throws a wild punch and I'm not looking or whatever. Do you know what I mean? So to say that, you know, an individual, you know, represents a style and this style's no good for self-defense, that goes back to what we talk about, the attitude of the individual, but also the training of the individual, how hard to train, and the science of the system in which they
and the consequences of you know, the environment as well. I mean, there are many armies have been defeated by a much smaller army based on just luck. You know, it just happened to rain that day. It just happened to be, you know, a bad terrain. You just happen to be a bit higher than the other guy. That's just, you know, but that is self-defense, isn't it?
He attacked me in high heels. What was I going to do? He didn't have the foot in, you know. So we were talking. You just kind of mentioned sort of, you know, teaching self-defense. So like when we use in Kung Fu, and it's so common. And it's kind of like a lot of people think of it as a cop-out, right? You know, oh, what would you do in this situation? Well, I just poke him in the eye. Yeah. We say that a lot, right? And that, but one of the
that's useful.
It's useful. Yeah, absolutely. But then, so during the course of this video, one of the points raised by so the Aikido dude was like, hang on, how do you train to poke someone in the eye? Because if you've not trained it, how are you going to apply it? And it's like, okay, so what? You want me to prove to you that a poke in the eye is going to, you know, hurt someone by
you don't have to do martial arts to be capable of poking someone in the eye.
You don't, do you? Now, you know, it's not like a poke in the eye is great, but it's not the be all and end all of a fight. But it's just something you would use to illustrate, if you like, minimum effort but maximum damage, if you like. And it's just something we would use to say, you know.
And can I just define what I just said earlier about the fact that 90% of martial artists, you know, wouldn't be able to fight because they haven't got the right persona, they haven't got the right attitude, they haven't got the right training. But you've got to look at people who are non-martial artists in the same situation.
Well, I know
that 99% of them aren't going to fight. No, 99% of them aren't going to be capable of fighting. They might think that they can, but unfortunately they can't, which is like the video you sent me that was brilliant when that guy said, you know, it starts just, I want some windmills.
That's funny, that. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. And no, but you know, I don't know karate, but I know crazy like that. You know, brilliant. Yeah. Well, another thing was, you know, sort of Ian suggests in the course of this video as well, where he's talking. It was a really good conversation. I keep saying that because it was. He you know, he comes out with some things that kind of, you know, obviously it's his opinion, great, fantastic, but I kind of want to flat disagree with it. And we'll talk about the psychology of why we feel we want to disagree later on. But one of them is, you know, he kind of said, oh, no martial art is good for self-defense. Only self-defense is good for self-defense. So he would suggest that, okay, right, you study Kung Fu. I want you to go and do a self-defense course. I want, you know, and in this self-defense course, you're going to do some escape drills, some de-escalation, a preemptive strike, some palm heels, and that'll be good. You know, understand a bit about the law of self-defense in whatever country you're in, and that's good. It's like a first aid course. You know, you're not learning to become a brain surgeon. It's just the basics. What do you think of that sort of suggestion?
I think he's talking out of his arse.
Right, and go on, why?
Because if you want to do a first aid course, have you got the capability to save someone anyway? Likewise, if you do a martial arts, a self-defense course where you learn very simple, basic things, have you got the capability of defending yourself? Answer, no, because you haven't defined or developed the mental capacity, the mental. It's all about the mental attitude in the first place. That's why I says 90% of martial artists couldn't defend themselves, not because they haven't got the fight, because a lot of them could punch really well, some of them could kick brilliantly, some of them could react and respond, but they don't know how to respond when the other guy. It's like learning another language. You know, you can learn French and then you can talk French all you like, and then someone suddenly speaks back to you and you go, what? And that we've talked about that before.
We have.
But that's the way it is. And in a self-defense course, you ain't going to get that. You're not going to get that response.
You're not. But they try damn hard to replicate some sort of, and they call it, what do they call it? Pressure testing. That's one of them words, one of them phrases they use. You know, we're going to pressure test. But unfortunately, I mean, I'm not making light of it, because, you know, some people do have some reasonably valid, I think, you know, theories on self-defense. But when you start dressing up as a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle and then talking about pressure testing, I just think, really? Okay.
It's going to happen.
Yeah. Okay.
In the end, it's like someone who, you know, says he's a great fighter and he can beat anybody in a competition who never ever fights.
Yeah.
That is what self-defense is like, because the only people really who can define their ability in self-defense are people who have actually survived encounters and have developed a way of defining what is an attack, what isn't an attack. You know, do they know how an attack's going to come?
They would turn around and to add an argument to what you've just said. They would turn around and say, okay, I've been on the doors for 20 years. I've taught the police, I've taught the army self-defense, I've done competition fighting, I've done full contact. You know, I've done this, I've done that. I'm in a good position to suggest what self-defense is.
Yeah, that's quite possible. Some of them are. But they still haven't experienced it. And I think the difficulty, I mean, it's like joining the army and never going to war.
Yeah.
You know, and then you come back and say, yeah, I was in the army. And you never fired a gun.
But to be fair to some of these people who say, I worked on the doors and this, that, and the other, you know. So
they've got the mental attitude. They have to have the mental attitude.
Yeah. But invariably, they're big units.
That's right, they are. And my brother was a bouncer. In the 70s,
right?
And he's quite tall, but he's not like a big muscly guy.
No,
but he simply was, you know, he looked good, you know, in a suit.
Yeah.
So, but the issue was that you've got to have the mental attitude, and you've got to be able to talk people down, and you've got to know how to talk to people properly. Yeah. You know, in the early days, it was like fists first with a bouncer.
Yeah,
and then they consider themselves to be hard because fist first. I don't think that's hard at all. I think it's hard to be able to stand next to someone and talk them down, knowing at any point in time they could kick off. Yeah, and if you have got the mental capacity to stand there and to be able to talk someone down and argue with them and let them have their argument and listen to their argument and bring them down, then you're a much better individual.
Isn't it just street smarts, you know? In its pure, you know, just being, you know, aware, you know, kind of aware, you know. I think a lot of people...
You've got to have negotiating skills. I think that is something that is intrinsic in people's personality. It's not something you can necessarily teach. Negotiating skills in certain situations. And so therefore you can experience a lot of fighting situations and then never be capable of negotiating. And there are sometimes when you're going to need to negotiate because you are going to be outnumbered or you are going to be
that's why
outgunned.
You look at sort of the police in the UK, not just the police in the UK, but kind of I use the UK as an example, right? So they're not going to knock on someone's door at 4 a.m. and politely ask them to come outside. They're going to go in, they're going to shout, you know, please get there, blah, blah, blah. So what it is. Yeah. And
they're going to have a lot of friends with them.
Yeah, I know. But what I'm getting at is it's the first, you're using your voice in a commanding way. So you're dominating them. Yeah. So you're looking at conflict and what conflict is. And you're saying, right, before I even get to the physical, I've got to have the mentality. So I'm going to start by a show of force, angry man.
Yeah, probably a better, a better example would be just a road stop.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Because you are going to approach someone and you've had to stop. You don't know who the hell they are. You don't know what they're into, and you've got to give them. But, you know, they use negotiating tactics. They don't necessarily go in, knock on the door and say, you've just done something wrong. You've been speeding. They'll use diplomatic skills.
Oh, depending on the situation. I guess I was using just that.
Yeah, but they've got to be capable of backing that up. And that's the issue with... Yeah. A lot of martial artists are not capable of backing it up. But they do think they are, and therefore they can sometimes get away with it quite well. I've done it. I've got away with a lot of stuff because I've been able to, you know, sort of talk in that kind of way. You know, I've been surrounded by a lot of people and been able to, you know, discuss with them and talk to them.
I got away with it once because I posed in a fighting stance just not long after I started with you. I was shitting myself. I was. These two lads, I was like, oh, come on, let's go, man. Like that, you know. I didn't know what I was going to do, but I thought I'd do something, you know. And they went, oh, okay. And you know. But anyway.
Well, you remember my story about the fish and chip shop or the Chinese takeaway.
There you go, yeah.
And those people just, you know, what you're looking at? Yeah, and I just get in the car, and I didn't know what I was going to do. I was only 18. Get in the car, and they got in the car like idiots. They got 3 of them, and then they went ding. There's 3 of us,
and one of him. I'm going to chase him.
Yeah, because one of them said at the door, "They says there's 3 of us." I says, "Get in the car, get in the effing car." I was really aggressive. They got in their car, drove off, and then the next thing, I get on my bike, get my stuff, start cycling off, and there they are. They come back. I can just imagine that ding in their head going, and they say, stop. And I went, why? There's 3 of you. And just kept cycling. Next day, I saw the next. I saw one of them the next day, and I just stared at him at the bus stop. He was looking through the glass panel of Sainsbury's or something, and I came up behind him and I just stood right next to him and just stared at him in the panel, and he was shitting himself. and I wouldn't have known what to do. I hadn't got a clue what to do, but I had that attitude. So
the attitude is there. That's interesting.
Yeah, that's it. You can sell it, can't you?
Yeah, you know.
Some people are really good salesmen. They just don't know how to work the car.
Oh shit! No, that's funny. That's funny. But go. So you know, going back to you know, this premise that fighting, self-defense, and martial arts are all separate things. So let's explain to them. I like you to explain why they're not, from your point of view, from your sort of I won't say unbiased point of view, but your perspective. That's a great word. Your perspective. Why are they not?
They're not. But I can say they're not, and then go down the road to another martial art and go, you know what, they are, because that's how they teach it. So it's down to how people have teach it, and then the heredity line, if you like. So one teacher to another. And remember, anybody become a teacher today. And so when you see people becoming a teacher, all they want to do is teach people the martial art. Therefore, they are, by definition, martial artists, but not fighters. Then there are other people just want to kick the crap out of people. They might be self-defenders, but they're not martial artists.
Right.
You know, so, and then you've got competitors who are just concerned with their own training, go out, train. They may get some people who are good enough to train with them, and they use them for ringcraft, and they use them for, you know, sparring partners, but they're not teachers, you know. So it's defined like that. There is no definition, in other words.
Okay.
But I would disagree with the general consensus that martial artists can't teach or can't do self-defense. That's bull. That's total bull. Because martial arts existed thousands of years.
So this was my next.
It wasn't a sport.
Yeah.
It wasn't just an art.
This was what I was going to suggest or sort of steer next. All right. So when we look at the history of these fighting arts, okay, way back when the world, was a lot more dangerous than it is today. And let's face it, today you're very statistically not likely to be a victim of a violent crime. It's a very, let's face it. Yeah. Particularly if you're a martial artist, you're not very likely to get, involved in a violent crime. Very likely, but anything's possible. So way back then, what do you think the perception of these, these fighting monks or these revolutionaries? What do you think their thoughts would have been that fighting, self-defense, and martial arts are not one in the same?
They wouldn't even contemplate that concept. It just doesn't work.
Okay, so elaborate.
It wouldn't even come. Well, it wouldn't even come into the brain. As far as they're concerned. Well, they wouldn't consider themselves martial artists for one. They would just They just would simply be able to fight. They would have certain preferences, and they would have certain tactics, and they would use those tactics. Usually, if they didn't use them successfully, they'd be dead. So, they are fighting for the death. They would fight to the death. They would fight. They're not going to go, oh, I wonder if I get locked up for this.
Yeah.
They're not going to think that. They're not going to think, oh, if I could hit him like this, I'll be able to use it in my competition, score points. No, they're not going to think like that. They're simply going to knock his lights out. That's simple as that. They're not going to get hit. But some of them, as we know, were so good that they could physically negotiate.
You're talking about escalation.
Monks, like monks or whatever, where they could physically get hit but not hurt. Then if you go up to a guy and you smack him in the stomach and nothing happens and he just looks down at you, you feel you may have a little problem.
Yeah.
And often that would have been the case if you're trying to promote your religion, if you want.
Right.
We've talked about this before, turn the other cheek and get the other one smacked, or someone hits you and it bounces off. You've got yourself a disciple.
Yeah.
Straight away.
Yeah.
So, and obviously they don't want to hurt you. They're going to avoid the fight like everything they can. So it is tactical and it is diplomatic.
Right, but just way back then. But let's be perfectly clear, right? We're not sort of advocating iron body training here, are we?
No, no, we're not.
No, it's just an example in a historical context.
But you see, where does the history end? Because in some martial arts, it would have died out a long, fighting capability would have died out a long time ago. And then with modern martial arts like karate, and yes, it's a modern martial art, then so it was half gone then, because they were just totally aiming at developing their perception of the art, their preference of the art. Taekwondo, we like to kick to the head, we call it the ultimate fighting style. Well, prove it. Because if someone's going to kick you to the head before you can throw a punch to their body or their face, well, they're living in cuckoo land. So, but, some of them may be great, but that doesn't make the martial art great.
Yeah.
It makes them good as self-defenders, but arts are, defined by the results, I guess.
Let me ask you a question. I want you to be very, very, very honest with me. Okay. Are you that heavily invested in Laugar that you want it to work? You want Laugar to work?
It's not that I want it to work. I can't see any reason why it shouldn't.
So please explain more.
Well, in my own personal experience over my years, it's not necessarily have to be, oh, this technique to that technique to that technique to that. It's having the perception of how the technique works, and moreover, how the other person is exposed. So training is about watching how other people can become exposed, and sometimes you can create that exposure.
Right.
By your definition of your techniques. So in other words, you like to make it as simple as possible, back fist, reverse punch, you're doing a back fist to the top, so that they cover, so that you can hit them underneath. That's exposing them. You might go body top, and then body again, so you're exposing them. That's a very simple definition of how to open other person's exposure. The other thing, of course, is feinting. The other thing, I mean, they go as far, some people go as far as like pretend to be drunk. Kind of goes out the window when you're in a fight. So, I don't agree with that. But
I say, sir, you're challenging me to a duel? All right, mate, let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not drunk though.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So if you challenge someone to a fight, then you pretend to be drunk. Kind of doesn't work. Really. Whereas if you're pretending to be drunk in a back street, and maybe people think you're drunk, so they pick on you, and you suddenly go bang. Well, you're doing what everyone else would do. Yeah, that is bang. You don't have to pretend to be drunk for that, and it's highly unlikely they're going to attack you if they think they can't beat you. So it wouldn't make any difference whether you pretend to be drunk or whether you're just simply, a small guy. I was watching Beverly Hills Cop the other day, and Axel Foley in a strip club pretended to be drunk before disarming an assailant with a shotgun. Phil, boom. And he was there. So there you go. Axel Foley does it from Beverly Hills Cop. There you go. There you go. It's a tactic. It's a tactic. It's one tactic amongst thousands. But, you can. I mean, let's face it. If you're facing someone, then you've got to use some kind of tactic. If you're not facing them and they attack you from behind, you've got to use skill, tactical and reactionary skill. So when I asked you the question about being heavily invested in Laui, that you want it to work, etc., you didn't talk about Laugar as a style. No. You're talking about it could be all martial arts, right? Anything, any style. It's providing there is no limit to it, right? And that's why I like Lau, because there is no limit. To it. But what does that mean, old man? It means you can use anything for anything, right? But as long as you understand that. But surely there's some people doing Lau who they can't do anything for anything. Well, that's right. There is. Yeah. Yeah, but then there are other people who do Taekwondo who are pretty good fighters. Oh, because they're limited what they can do, but they only need a certain amount of techniques. That's the way with most sport aspects. You only need within a sport, within a sport to fight. This is great. Yeah, and if you've got the tactical know-how and the strategy, you can win with very few techniques, like a poke in the eye. What do you need? I'm an old woman walking across the street. A guy comes up and says, I want your purse. You go, poke in the eye. Well, there you go. Providing it's a bloody good poke, she might have to cross her fingers. Do you mind? Yeah. No, science. If she's got a brolly, stab the brolly in his eye. Yeah. She's won. Well, so you just said Laui's unlimited, right? And I understand what you mean, but let's just define what you mean. Like, what do you mean it's unlimited? What you mean? You use anything for anything? So yes. Are we disregarding the forms, the set? Do we need to do the sets anymore? Do we need to do forms? Are we just not doing what Bruce Lee? It's the same with saying, shall we fight everybody from the front from now on? Well, no, you can't. So therefore, because they come from the side, they come from an angle, they come from behind. So you have to define techniques, to perceive techniques for each individual situation. And then, so therefore, even then there's a category of technique, isn't there? Yeah. So immediately you've got to have a completely different, situation for each angle.
Well,
so
perceiving techniques. What about just reacting to a moment? Like, there's so many techniques.
You are reacting, but you can only
react.
You can't react. If someone's attacking from behind, you can't react it by punching. They're behind you. You're going to give them an elbow. You're going to headbutt them backwards. You're going to drop your leg. You're going to stamp them. You're going to twist. You're going to turn. You're going to roll.
Yeah.
You can roll forwards. You can do anything. There's all sorts of different things you have to do, but it's not the same as what you would do if they were attacking you forwards. So what I'm saying is you've already categorized fights, techniques.
But right. Okay, categorized. But if you're talking about the moment, you're not. It's not about a conscious categorization of a technique, though, is it?
No, it isn't. No,
and this is where we get back to self-defense. When you're, you have to do this, or this is good for that, or it's just
you react to what the feeling is. You react to what the moment.
So explain what do you mean by feeling? What do you mean by feeling?
So basically, it's. I mean, obviously, we do sticky hands in kung fu, so you have some perception of sensitivity. And if you haven't got sensitivity, it would be a lot more difficult in a close contest or a close battle.
Well, if the guy's behind you,
because you haven't got a lot of time. Yeah, but if someone's touching if someone touches you there, you're going to turn that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Because 9 times out of 10, it's going to be his right arm. Do you know what I mean? So if you turn, now you're on his outside. Do you see what I'm saying? So there is a design there, but also there's an ounce of luck. So what if it's his left arm? Well, you turn around and he's there now with his right arm loaded. So do you know what I mean? So there's the element of luck. But then if you're capable, the closer you get, the harder it is for him to actually throw that punch, because now you're right in his face. So it's totally dependent on that. And then what are you doing with your legs? Where are you putting your legs? What are you going to do? Are you going to step back, draw him to you? Are you going to step close to him and be able to take his space? If you take his space, he's going to fall backwards. We go on and on and on about technique, and you can create all sorts of situations defined by your reaction. Now, your reaction is better if you can sensitize, if you can feel it.
Yeah.
And that's why people standing back and then sort of putting their fists out and then going, okay, I'm going to have you. Right now, they become equal. Right. Because the other person has the same capability. So you've got to react to what's happening in the moment, not retreat and then reform or regroup.
That's almost a sporting chance, because two people have the same, like you just suggested.
We don't know what he's got though, do we? We don't know how he fights. So now we're gonna square up to someone who could have a much better tactical ability than you. So you don't want to give him that chance. No, that's why it's nice to be close.
Isn't the problem? And I would suggest that a lot of perception of self-defense is heavily influenced by those martial arts who are very sport orientated.
Yeah.
So, like you just suggested, it's step back, right? Assume a fighting stance. Now go.
And that's their tactics and that's their strategy, and it's going to be different for everyone. And which is why, how can you say that generally in martial arts no one can fight? Because everyone has a totally different approach. So their approach or their perception of other people's approach, is their perception and their perception alone. They cannot see it because they cannot do it. Right. And there lies the problem. When you, like that guy talking about Aikido, is it, or the karate guy saying, well, let's categorize people into those 3 categories. Well, you can't do that. You can do that with lots of people. You cannot do it as a general, foundation to martial arts. The foundation to martial arts is fighting. The foundation to martial arts is understanding the concept of fighting. That's why it's called bloody martial.
Yeah. Yeah.
And for no other reason.
Yeah. But yes, but
how you train it then, or how you learn it, or where you learn it, or how long you learn it for, that defines whether you can use it or not.
Yeah.
And there, I'd agree.
Yeah. You mentioned sticking hands before, and you sort of went to that. Why did you go straight to sticking hands?
Because it's an addition to reaction. It's a sensitization.
Right. So one of the points that was discussed in this video is that the Ian Abertheny just the first thing he did when he started teaching was get rid of because he doesn't like it. It's 3-step sparring, 1-step sparring, 3-step, 5-step sparring, to what we would call sort of hand blocks, kick blocks Taekwondo, they would call it one-step sparring, whatever, but he gets rid of them because they are not, he says it's a complete waste of time,
That's because he doesn't understand them. So he gets rid of something that may not be compatible with his knowledge, may not be capable of his knowledge. Now, I
refuse to believe that because he's a very knowledgeable chap. So
why did he get rid of something then?
Well, I'm interested. Well, he would. I don't want to speak for him, but he kind of suggests that it's giving people a false sense of combat.
Well, we don't like one-step sparring. I don't like basic hand blocks and kick blocks. I don't like them as basic hand blocks and kick blocks. I don't like stepping and punching, but there is a value in it because the defense it needs an attacker. We need an attacker. And as a beginner or as an early trainer, in the first place, you need that stepping stone, because you're not going to understand it otherwise, because it's going to be too overpowering. That's like trying to learn a lot of big words when you're just starting to learn to write.
It's like getting a beginner to do sticking hands and going, how come you can't defend yourself?
Yeah.
It needs to escalate. The training process needs to develop.
Yeah, it has to be developed. It doesn't. Bruce Lee says, "I have got no styles." Yes, he has. He had to start from somewhere.
Yeah.
So he had a style.
Yeah.
So you might now have it. You might not have it in the end for you, but if you're going to teach it to someone, you've got to teach them something. So you've got to teach them your style. Now, if you change that style, well, it's not the style you learned. Now it's the style you teach, right? So they no longer have access to how you learned. So now that's gone.
We need to define the difference between the style you learn and the style you teach.
There should be no difference, to be frank with you. It's only the development of an individual.
Right.
It's got nothing to do, but the style in itself, if you want to, style is a really weird word because it's very hard to define style. Some people have a very limited style. In other words, they say, "Oh, my style is punching and kicking," or invokes punching and kicking, or it that's how it attributes to its success, punching and kicking. Taekwondo, we attribute our success mainly to the high kicks. Well, you're limiting your style now. So there are many styles, inverted commas, that are actually very, very limited, and they've been devised and developed from people who have changed where they got that style from, and then they've gone, you know what, I think this works better than that. Why? Because I'm a tall, lanky guy and I can kick high. So for me, I like that, kicking high. Well, what about the small girl that comes in and says, okay, I want to be able to do that? And then you go MMA, oh, let's do some grappling, shall we? Right. So the little 10-stone girl, and that's heavy for a girl, isn't it? I guess. So no apologies. Now, 14-stone guy, and he's lying on top of her, and she can't move because he's on top of her. Well, let's face it, that style is limited.
Yeah.
So unless she can bite him in the throat or poke him in the eye, or if she can fight while she's standing up, she's got a much better chance. Otherwise, she must be just a good jogger.
But it's not limited for the guy lying on top, right?
No, it's not limited.
Great,
no.
Works for him. The weakness in that, and we've talked about this on other podcasts. It's the individual's perception, and then they feel, oh, I've got to change it. So it's pretty much what Bruce Lee did, right?
That's right. That's right. But
it's like he had something. He had the Wing Chun, great, fantastic. But he wanted more. Felt it wasn't good enough. So.
So he starts, he had a limited training, didn't he? Because he had to move from his instructor. So consequently, at the end of the day, he started to devise his own ideas. And although you can compliment him and say, yeah, well, he learned a lot from different books and various people that he saw, and he had a certain amount of skill because of his excessive training. Yes. But when you come to the ordinary person, you take a look, let's go back to why is Lao unlimited? Because you can define it for different types of people. So a technique doesn't have to be used as a block. It can be used as a parry. It can be used as a strike. It can be used as a throw. It can be used. It's totally dependent on the individual's build in comparison to their target or their adversary, or their partner, if you want.
Yeah.
So consequently, there's a lot of things you can do if you're standing there in front of a guy who's got, who decides to stand like so with his hands out like that, and you can't reach him because he's got really long hands. Why do you have to reach him? There's a target right there.
Fingers.
Just smack him in the fingers. So smacking the fingers is going to move his fingers. You're going to hit him somewhere else.
Yeah.
So it's you've got to create an end game. You've got to create a level playing field. So you've got to create a way in.
Yeah.
That's skill.
Right. So should the sort of, what do you think about the goal, if you like, of any martial arts teacher? Should it be to teach a style or that is unlimited? But we all know, right? And if I say, oh, Steve, you teach an unlimited style. Oh, what? He's taught you over 1 million different techniques then, has he? It doesn't work like that, does it?
No,
but it's the recipe that you've got to give.
Yeah. What is?
Yeah.
I was going to say. So, what is the end intention, if you like, or goal of a teacher? It is to make the student better than you, because if you can make the student better than you, then he can use that style to a much better degree, rather than limit the style. So if you look at the definition of style, you can see lots and lots of styles all the way through the years. I'm not going to name them and insult them, but as well as I do, there's an awful lot of styles out there that have they've dissipated their knowledge, they've dissipated their tactics and strategies.
Laugar for one.
Laugar. Well, Laugar,
and there's plenty of people who've gone out. Yes. People
have, but not the style. The style's still the same.
But they've taken Laugar and they've dissipated it.
Yes, absolutely. And that's the problem. But they've taken, they take karate, dissipated. They take taekwondo and dissipated. Whatever. It was probably dissipated before it even started. There are limits. We know there are limits to a lot of styles. Jiu-jitsu, there are limits to that. Do they get up and start kicking?
No,
exactly. So judo, there's limits to it. Do they start kicking? No, so they're by definition, because
but then
style, they're limited.
Yeah, but then we could say, well, Laugar, you don't take it onto the ground, do you?
Well, yes, you do.
You don't ground fight. That's what I meant. Sorry, you don't ground fight.
You don't ground fight. I mean, if you had a big guy and you said, right, okay, take it to the ground, he'd be successful, but you'd know he could be successful. So you could teach him down on the ground. But if it's a small girl, would you teach her to go down the ground? No, because she could not be successful. It would limit her success. So what you have to find is how to define an individual's ability to fight by their capability of learning, and then their capability of fighting. Yeah. So, and then they're going to use their own tactics. If you look at Sharon Gill, is she going to go on the floor and fight on the floor? No, she's not. She's much better off standing there. Someone comes at her, boom, side kick into him. Yeah, she wins every time like that.
Yeah. For those who don't know, Sharon Gill is one of the champion
top fighter in Laugar.
Yeah, fighters. For many years. Understood.
So and then when you look at other big guys, they're big enough to take it on. Lawrence White, people much bigger and capable of doing, fighting big guys. Why? Because they're big, Yeah. So you have certain animals, like Mike Tyson is a good example, where no matter how heavy he is, the other guy might be much taller but the same weight. Simply because he's a strong guy. So his tactics have to work for that, and of course his body techniques. Then why does he have to overreach? He doesn't. He can use body techniques, but he's still limited because it's a sport. But that doesn't make him limited in the street, but it totally depends on someone, capable of fighting him, maybe as strong as him. But a smaller person undoubtedly will be limited because they're never going to muster that kind of power.
Right.
And they're never going to, absorb that kind of energy either, because he's just totally a fighter. Yeah. So if you want to fight someone like that, you've got to be a total fighter.
Right.
But that defines you as well.
Yeah.
But in self-defense, you haven't got to be a total fighter, because someone that strong, that good, has no reason to attack you.
No, it's,
you know,
it's generally a criminal element, isn't it? It's like
exactly the possibility. It's
opportunistic.
But look, criminals they're not looking for a fight. They're looking for a victim.
No.
Right? There's no such thing as anybody who's looking for a fight. They are there looking for a victim. They expect you to be easy. If you're not easy, they'll go find someone else. Mm-hmm. That's it. That's the human nature. Mm-hmm. No one is out there to fight you, okay? Unless they're drunk or unless they got a lot of friends around them, right? So then you have an issue. Mm-hmm. But most people who want to mug you or whatever, they're out for an easy mugging, right? And they try to arm themselves to make sure it's even easier. Now, if you can fight them and you can win, they'll just go find someone else. They're not out for a battle. No one ever has been, right? For that reason. So, no one wants to get hurt, including muggers, including, criminals. No, they're not out to get hurt. They're out for an easy picking. Yeah. Right. Why do you think they pick on unarmed people? Why do you think they pick on women? Why do you think they pick on small guys? Guys who look like they can't handle themselves, a guy in a suit. Yeah. Why do they pick on them? Well, because they're easy. They try to dominate them. Once they dominate them, that's all they want to do. They want to go. They don't want to stand there and fight. Mm-hmm. But if you can defend yourself, well, the first thing in the first secret in self-defense is not tell the other person you can defend yourself. Mm-hmm. You can be, don't hurt me, bang. Don't stand there in a fighting stance. Don't stand there in a fighting stance. All right. That's why we always talk about that. Always a fighting stance is after the event. A response to and it's an action. Yeah. Not a reaction. It's an action. It's Donnie Yen proactive. Donnie Yen is wrong, everybody. Okay. Well, John. Okay, don't believe it. Okay, right, guys. I think it's a movie, baby. Okay, so we've danced around that, and you've dropped in your thoughts. So have I. Great conversation, good conversation piece. So in closing, fighting, self-defense, and martial arts, they're all the same. Human beings, in their infinite wisdom, like to categorize and compartmentalize things. It's divided by human beings. Yeah, when you overthink something, you lose the point of the simplicity, which is self-defense in itself. You can't be thinking; you need to just respond. Yeah. Is that easy to do? You got to have a hell of a lot of training and a smidgen of luck. Train the right things. Yeah, right. Yeah, and you got to train what's good for you too. So therefore, you've got to find the right style or the right art if you want. Yeah, and advance it, not dissipate it. Yeah. So in reality, martial arts is one with everything, with fighting. People define the differences. It's defined by the differences of people. You mean a Thai boxing leg kick is different than a kung fu leg kick? Come on. No, you're controversial, Mr. Newbie, right? Well, that's not what I say. I agree, they're both the same. Except that the Thai boxer is going to practice an awful lot more. Oh, hell yeah. Because he's in a sport and he needs to win. Yeah. But do you need that kind of training to be, in the street? Yeah, but if you fight another martial artist, you might need it. But, okay, whatever. The contingencies and plans you could make are never ending. So, and that's, I think martial artists do like to complicate things. But also remember, we are human. So, there are times that when you may have to escalate it. If you realize that the enemy is stronger than you, you have to, compromise. You have to find something that brings you up. You pull out a stick, you pick up a brick, you throw sand in their eye, whatever, you throw your coffee. If you're in America, get out your 44. Okay. Yeah. Go Clint Eastwood. They have no respect for life. Oh, that's the problem. On. All right, stop. They have no respect for life. Oh, yeah, this will stop them when they come through your door. Damn straight it will. He's trying to get medicine for his wife. He needs money. He's desperate. Go ahead. Make my day.
Right. Okay. And on that note, wonderful. On that note, thank you, Mr. Newbie. It was a good conversation. I like it. And we're on another short one. So it's easy listening for our two listeners, which is great. I'm sweating right now. I'm in a hot box in the cooler. Okay. We're going to go. Thank you so much for joining us. Give us a like, follow us on YouTube. If you want to send us a question, that would be great. If you agree, disagree, get in contact, drop us a line. Brilliant, fantastic.
Yeah, always love an argument.
Why has everything got to be an argument, old man? Eh?
It's got to be a debate. No. If it's not a debate, then it's not worth talking about.
Absolutely. We love it. Anyway, guys, take care. Be safe. My name's James.
What are you doing now? Oh, you're going to bed now, aren't you?
Well, I should think so. What time is it? It's 1:30. It's quite early for us, actually. Normally, it's 5 in the morning. But,
it's 5:30 in the afternoon for me. You know what I'm doing?
Go on.
I'm going to go in the garden with a fire pit and some wine.
Do you know what? I know where I'd rather be. Oh, that sounds great. Wonderful. Right. Take care, everybody. From me, James Still, goodbye. And from you, Steve Newby,
I'll see ya. Goodbye.
See you guys. Take care. All the best. Bye-bye.
Concentrate on your enemy's weak points. The eyes, the throat, the knackers.
Hi guys, thanks so much for joining us on the Kung Fu Podcast. If you like that and you want to find out more about us, you can head over to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram or YouTube and find us under SJN Martial Arts. And also guys, this podcast is available on Podbean and iTunes. So until next time, take care of yourselves and we'll see you again on the Kung Fu Podcast.
Karate punch is like an iron bar, whack. A Kung Fu punch is like an iron chain with an iron ball attached to the end and it go whang.
Can you break a log like that?
Don't know. Never been attacked by a tree.
Yeah. No, great.
Yeah, some people don't, you've got people that break the rules here the same as everywhere else. I had a guy the other day, right? He, I went to Tim Hortons and I was driving down the car park, 6:30, totally empty car park. Okay. This is totally empty car park. So there he is in his people carrier, his caravan, they call it here, trying to back out of a stall of a spot.
Right.
So I thought, well, I won't go near him. I'll go around. I'll go this way. I'll go across the lines there.
Yeah.
All the stalls, all the lines.
Yeah.
So I'm driving across the lines there. Next thing I see him go like this. And then he's following me. And the next thing you know, as I'm turning around the corner, he's following me. And he comes up the side of me and he drives straight in front of me. Straight in front of me and stops me. So I push the door open. I walk straight up to his car, say, what's your problem? Straight away, what's your problem? Then he starts arguing about the fact that I shouldn't be driving over the lines. As a driving instructor, I should not be driving over the lines. You should know better. I'm going, shut the up. You don't know what you're talking about. There's no such thing as the rules. We do emergency maneuvers over there. We do. The motorbikes go round and round on those lines.
Yeah.
Right? There are no rules for going over any lines. Obviously, if there are cars parked in the stalls, you'll take the road. You can't go over the lines. And he's going on and on and on. And I just thought, I've got a student. I've got to go over to the student. There's a student coming and I can't sit here arguing with you. You can see there's a car parked right over the way. They could hear us screaming and shouting. He's going, shut up. I'm saying, you ain't listening. You ain't listening. You ain't listening. And then I said, I hear what you're saying. I don't agree. Bye. And just went. But he stayed in his car with his little window open like that. Call him his sir.
Sir.
Proper Canadian road rage.
Now you missed the old the British, What's wrong, mate? Come on.
In it though.
Nah, blood. can't knock you out.
Yeah.
Well, don't you miss all that? You know, these Canadians are
get
just
that.
too nice. It's a better breed of arsehole in Canada, let's face it. Right. Anyway.
You just cannot believe it.
No.
Some of the crap that, you know.
Oh, it's great. That's fantastic.
I'll have to get better at talking to them now.
Why? Why break a habit of a lifetime, old man? I'll be honest with you. I think you need to grease
it. He pulled in front of me and that door went straight out.
I bet it
straight
did.
over to his car. What's your problem? Now, I think I said, have you got a problem? Something like that. I know I should have been like that. And he starts going on about the bloody lines. I said, you're stupid. Don't be so bloody stupid.
Jesus, must have been a slow news day, huh?
Oh.
Slow news day. Oh, bless you.